Welcome to this meeting of the Syracuse Planning Commission. We will begin our public hearings momentarily after we take care of one piece of housekeeping business, namely the approval of our minutes from our previous meeting on January 31st. Those minutes have been distributed. I'll move approval of those minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Our January 31st, 2022 minutes are approved as distributed. We will now move into our public hearing section of the meeting. Those of you who are not familiar with the process and haven't participated before, as each application is announced by a member of the staff, we ask that you come to the podium in the center of the room, provide your name and address for the record, and then a brief summary of the application. And following any questions or points of clarification required by the commission members, we will extend an opportunity to members of the public who wish to speak in favor of the application, and then likewise an opportunity for those members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to the application. And where comments are made in opposition, we will encourage the applicant to return to the podium to address the comments made in opposition. So with that, I think we are ready to begin. Jeff, if you would announce our first application, please.
Good evening, Mr. Kulik, members of the commission. Tonight's first public hearing is SP 1611M1, a special permit modification to a restaurant to modify the floor plan, site plan, and elevations to an existing restaurant in order to expand the customer area on property situated at 112 to 116 Wilkinson Street. 120 Wilkinson Development LLC is the property owner, and Middle Ages Brewery is the applicant, and the property lies within an industrial Class A zoning district.
Good evening. I'm Joe Gem with the ownership group, address 102 West Division Street, 13204.
And John Anderson with McKnight Architects, 212 North Franklin Street.
So the plan, as Jeff summarized here, is to expand Middle Ages Brewery. This will not be a restaurant. This is an event space above the existing tap room, which they expanded about 5 or 6 years ago. The space is approximately 5,800 square feet. Most of it is open space, no food preparation, typical men's and women's bathrooms. And then additionally, we are doing site work along the south, actually the south, the west, and the north. We have approximately 70 parking spots in the back parking lot. We would be asking for a parking variance for the use of the event space. We're looking for approximately 100 spot variance. Typically, they're foreseeing a lot of their patrons coming after work hours. So as we've seen in the past with the existing tap room, most people park on the street. Not many people use the parking lot as it sits today. So our hope is that we can get a parking variance for Middle Ages.
I think your application also requires a variance, a waiver on the part of the project that pertains to the signage. Can you speak to that as well, please?
Yeah, we can put together some newer signage drawings. So the existing signage, I think what you're referring to is non-code compliant. It was installed many, many years ago, before we jumped on this project. And I can show you a drawing that we put together for that. Do you know anything about this, Joe?
I'm familiar with what Isaac was proposing.
I will just point out for the record, the Planning Commission has a copy of that in their...
They have a copy of the new signage drawing. So what we did is we listed the existing signs that exist there today, and we will not be installing any new signs. But again, you're right, we would be going for a variance to, approve what is already there. It's been there for many years. But no new signs are proposed, correct. And we do show, again, the existing signs on the current drawing that we sent to Jeff.
Thank you. Are there questions for the applicants from the commission members? Okay.
Just for the record, that's
so the sign that's mounted on the building, you're voting on the variance for that tonight. That's an existing condition.
It is an existing conditions, yes, and we don't have any plans to change it, so that would be, sure, on the agenda.
And then you indicated in the plans, there's a replica door. Is that replacing an existing door, or is it, again, recognizing the door that's already there?
So as far as the doors are concerned, we're not proposing any new entrance door. There is a side exit door that we would be replacing per historic standards. This is also a historic rehabilitation project with the state and the federal national parks. So I'm not sure which door you're referring to, but the existing door where you enter between the buildings, that looks like an old castle wood door, that
Right.
would remain. And then there is an old door under this ivy to the very, I guess it would be the east of the property, that we will be replacing this door that is just boarded shut, and it will again be a historic replica door to match the original door from 100 years ago.
But for code reasons, you're going to have it as a working door.
Oh, correct, yes, it'll be a working door, exactly.
All right, thank you. No other questions?
Thank you very much. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward, provide your name and address and comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward with your comments. Okay, we have no additional speakers, it appears. We've heard the presentation and some questions here. I think we're in a position to close this public hearing. So this hearing is now closed, and we will consider a motion on SP-16-11M1, the special permit modification on Wilkinson Street. Is there a motion?
Move approval of the negative declaration, granting the waivers for off-street parking, and granting the waiver for the sign that at this point exists at 40 square feet requirement.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The special permit modification is approved. Thank you very much. Our next public hearing, please.
The next public hearing is SP 2203. This is a special permit modification to a restaurant to modify the floor plan, elevation, and signage at 167 and 169 Marshall Street. Nicholas Holdings LLC is the owner, and Heidi Cousineau. Let me just see who the applicant is here. Hold on just a minute. The property lies within a business class A zoning district. Go ahead, Brian, sorry about that.
Thank you. Good evening. Brian Bouchard with CHA Consulting. Also with me is the applicant Heidi Cousineau from Liberty Restaurant Development, Vice President of Real Estate and Construction. This is for a proposed Popeyes restaurant, 167 Marshall Street. If you're familiar with Marshall Street, this is on the University Ave end. It's directly adjacent to J. Michael's Shoes, so it's the former Acropolis Pizza, so it was previously a restaurant. Popeyes has an option to lease the first floor of the building, and as part of that, the construction would include a brand new storefront with new storefront windows, new vertical aluminum siding, as well as accent bands and signage. The interior would also be completely renovated for the restaurant to include new seating areas, the ordering table. We have the kitchen and coolers within the back of house space, new restrooms facilities, as well as a small office for the manager. We've submitted the site location map along with the floor plans and elevations. We've also submitted the cut sheets for the signage. And as part of the project, as we all know, Marshall Street, there are a few waivers. Although this is a special permit, it's an allowable use for the restaurant within the business Class A district. It is within an existing building, and as you know, along Marshall Street, all of these existing restaurants and retail spaces don't have any off-street parking associated with them. It's basically the on-street parking that we have on Marshall Street. There's also on-street parking as you go a little bit further to the east on University, and then there's the two garages that are along South Krause Ave as well. So the restaurant requires by code 15 parking spaces. Again, it was an existing pizza store restaurant, so we feel that the parking waiver is justifiable based on the use and atmosphere within the Marshall Street setting. Obviously, this type of restaurant is going to cater to the events where people are already on Marshall Street, either for basketball games, football games, and obviously catering to the university area and the pedestrian traffic more specifically, right? So we hope that you'd be able to support the parking waiver and the fit out of this space as well. In terms of signage, we do have the building elevation here. Special permits, as you know, have their own rules for signage, which allow a 40 square foot wall sign and then also a 40 square foot ground sign. In our case, we're proposing a 33 square foot wall sign, the Popeyes logo, which is internally illuminated channel lettering there that you see on the plan. So that wall sign is compliant. However, we don't have space for a ground sign. So we are requesting a waiver to allow a second sign to be placed on the face of the building. It would actually be inside the building in the window, so it's considered a window sign, and that's just a logo. It's hard to see here, but hopefully it's in your packet. It's the chicken logo. It's a clear Lexan panel that's set in the window with white LEDs, so it is still transparent. But in lieu of that ground sign that we don't have space for, we're requesting a waiver to allow the second sign to be a window sign, and that sign is 27.5 square feet. So in total, we have two signs, both less than the 40 square feet, but in this case, it's a waiver request because in lieu of that ground sign, we're requesting the board to hopefully support that window sign to give us a little bit more visibility there. Obviously too, and I brought a picture of it, if you know the Acropolis store that's existing, and I wasn't able to research if they do have a pre-existing sign waiver, but they have fairly large logoing on their existing canopy that I feel like we're replicating, but they also have some extraneous signs, right? Pizza and wings and soda and some other things that are on the banner. They also do have window signs, LED window signs that are in there as well. So hopefully what we believe is even with the signage request that we're reducing the total signage on this property and fitting more within the Marshall Street area there. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or Heidi can answer any questions on behalf of Popeyes as well.
Questions?
I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you, and compliments on keeping the total square footage within what otherwise would have applied here. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please come forward. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? If so, please come to the podium. We don't have any additional speakers for this project either. We'll declare this hearing closed and entertain a motion for action on this special permit, which is SP-22-03.
Motion to approve, granting them the waiver for the parking and the signage with a negative declaration.
Thank you both. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So SP-22-03 is approved. Thank you. And we move to our next hearing.
Next public hearing is SR 2203. This is a site plan review for an antenna to install a rooftop antenna array at 1207 to 1211 Almond Street. Syracuse Housing Authority is the owner and Dish Wireless LLC is the applicant. The property lies within a residential Class B zoning district.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Brett Morgan, and I'm also accompanied by Jack Vanden Beal. We are here tonight on behalf of Dish Wireless, seeking site plan approval for an antenna installation on the rooftop of the Syracuse Housing Authority building at 1207 to 1211 Almond Street. The rooftop already has existing wireless installations for other wireless carriers, and we are simply adding an installation for Dish Wireless. A little background, Dish Wireless plans to be the 4th national wireless carrier after Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, Nextel. The installation consists of 9 antennas, 18 what are called remote radio heads that are mounted behind the antennas on the masts, 3 OVPs, and 3 hybrid feed lines that run from the rooftop radio equipment to each of the 3 sets of antennas. With this one specifically, we are going to complete an initial install of just 3 antennas, 6 remote radio heads, 3 OVPs, and again, those 3 hybrid feed lines that run from the radio equipment to each of the antennas. As far as equipment for this one, this requires a 5-foot by 7-foot elevated equipment platform that we will install on the rooftop. That equipment platform contains an equipment cabinet where we put our radio equipment in, a power cabinet, a fiber optic enclosure, and an electric meter. In the application materials that you have already, there was an error in the short form environmental seeker. I would point to number 9. Does the proposed action meet or exceed the state energy code requirements? The version that you have has the checkbox no, but I do have 5 different copies of an updated short form EAF, if you'd like, where the box is actually yes, because it does conform with the state energy code requirements.
So that was item number 9?
That's item number 9, correct, on the short form seeker.
It'd be a good idea, I think, if you could either tonight or soon thereafter give an updated copy of the form to the staff so we have an accurate form on file for the application.
Certainly.
Thanks for calling that to our attention.
Yep, not a problem. And again, in addition, as detailed in the accompanying drawings, this is a fairly cookie cutter kind of rooftop installation for a typical wireless provider. And I'm obviously here to answer any questions that the commission may have or any members of the public.
Are there questions?
Quick question. You mentioned the current signs, and I just was wondering, do you know the size of them and height?
I'm sorry.
Of the current signs, do you know the size and height of them?
I'm missing the beginning.
The current signs, things that are there now.
The current antennas?
Yes.
Yeah, they're for a couple different wireless carriers. Antennas typically run from 8 foot to 6 foot in length.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we're doing something very similar with 6-foot antennas.
Okay. Thank you.
As you also received a copy of the photo simulations that show kind of the before and after. It's kind of difficult to see the difference because there are existing wireless antennas on the rooftop. It's not dramatically different. We're not really.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Did I understand you to say you were going to install your equipment in, not all at once, but in 2 stages?
Correct.
What's the gap in between and what's the rationale? Just curious.
We typically get zoning approval for what we're calling our full loading. Those extra antennas are for the future. Since Dish is not a developed network and they don't have customers on the network, there's no need for the extra antennas until the customer base grows, at which point we'll come back, supply an updated building permit application to the city and ask for approval for a permit for the additional equipment, but we'll already have the zoning approval from you folks from the Planning Commission for that full antenna design.
Okay, so you're just thinking long-term, and this
It's
could
for the
be
future, yeah, again.
a few years down the
without-
road.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. As their network and their customer base grows, then we'll look to add the additional antennas that will handle the additional load or capacity and traffic on their wireless network.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem.
Thanks. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, come to the podium, please. Anyone wishing to speak against the application, please come forward. No speakers for this application either, so we will close this public hearing and entertain a motion for action on this one, SR-22-03.
Move approval with a negative declaration.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So this site plan review is therefore approved. Thank you very much. Move to our next hearing.
The next public hearing is PR 2125. This is a project site review for new construction, and this is to construct a two-story mixed-use building at 112 to 114 Burt Street. 15th Ward Developers LLC is the owner and the applicant, and it lies within a Business Class A zoning district. The commission will not be able to act this evening as the BZA has not acted. They have to grant relief of certain restrictions in the zoning ordinance, but we advertised the hearing, so this would be a good opportunity to not only hear from the applicant, but to give any guidance or comments that you have on the design, which the project site review is designed to do, if you will. So with that, this will have to be held open until next time, but the applicant is here and ready for anything.
Just for clarification, Heather,
Yes.
because the vote will be held until the next meeting or until we're approved by BOZA, would we present again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but it's only 4 days after, so we try to keep them close together so that there's not a delay.
Okay.
Yep.
Joseph Bryant, residence 235 East Water Street, apartment 3B, owner, managing partner of 15th Ward Developers LLC. We plan to reconstruct a two-story mixed-use property located on 112 Burt Street. The existing property was a dilapidated two-story mixed-use property. Plans include 2 apartments, well, 3 units on the second floor, 2 market rate, 1 low income, and then a commercial office space for Blueprint 15, which is actually spearheading the development in the area. We're requesting 2 variances, 1 for density and 1 for parking. As it relates to the one for density, the property itself, or the building itself, sits on 95% of the property acreage, which doesn't allow for us to provide yardage space for the residential units up top, which where we deviate and need this waiver. One thing to mention is on the rooftop, we have in the plans a open kind of commune space for barbecuing and outdoor kind of settings. As it relates to the parking, again, the property is kind of landlocked because the existing foundation takes up the entire space almost of the acreage. Any questions?
Can you delve into a little bit more the thinking behind the design for the rooftop space that you have in mind for the project?
Can you want me just to elaborate on the rooftop, or in terms of why we decided to do a rooftop?
Both. The rationale for it and a little bit about how you arrived at the design that you propose and how you see the rooftop space being used in the context of your project.
Yeah, so just from a marketing standpoint and, having additional amenities, as a developer, you want something to draw folks to the area. That area is right now currently under as a priority with the mayor's administration. There's be a lot of developments adjacent to 81. And at this point, still, it's currently, and I wouldn't even call it a transition, going through a transition, right? It's still a tough neighborhood. So to draw folks into a neighborhood to pay market rate rent, you want to increase amenities. So in terms of a thought as to why we wanted to provide a rooftop space, that was one of the things. In addition, just to have outdoor space in an apartment, we thought it would be another benefit. In terms of the design, I mean, it's basically just an open space, as much space as would be allowed based on zoning and code. So it's a basic space. There'll be probably a barbecue grill that'll be used by the tenants. In addition to that, with Blueprint 15 being our tenant, we thought it'd be a good idea too to have almost a space where they could go up and do presentations or community gatherings or things of that sort.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for the applicant?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Are there any individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the application? Please come to the podium. Okay, then as noted at the outset, we'll hold this hearing open because we're awaiting action from the Board of Zoning Appeals. We also have a commission member absent who we anticipate will be rejoining us at the next hearing, and the hearing will remain open, and I'm sure she may have comments as well. She'll bring herself up to date on the record for the application, and we can proceed at our next hearing, at our next meeting rather, in anticipation of conclusive action by the Board of Zoning Appeals. So this hearing remains open, and we move on to new business.
Yes, the first new business item is 3S0520M1. This is a 3-mile limit subdivision review in the town of Onondaga. This is Yenny Farm subdivision, Lot 3C, and this is to divide one parcel into 2 new lots at 4772 Yenny Road. Daniel McMahon is the owner and applicant.
And just to confirm our still relatively new procedure, this 3-mile limit case has undergone review by the city engineer, who has identified no problems or issues with the proposed re-subdivision.
Correct.
And hence it's here on our agenda. So it's gone through the relevant technical review to confirm no complicating issues for the city. And with that background in mind, is there a motion for approval of this 3-mile case in the town of Onondaga?
Move approval. I see the town of Onondaga made a negative declaration, so we'll move approval at this time.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion on the motion? And all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The 3-mile limit case in Onondaga is approved. And we have an additional new business item, I believe.
Yes, we have a minor modification as an accommodation to the applicant. We're requesting if you could review this evening. Jeff did pass something out to you, and it was also on your Dropbox. This is SP 0609M2, the second modification to a special permit for a restaurant. This is to modify the elevation at 2378 to 2390 James Street. This is in the Business Class A zoning district, and the James Street overlay also is split between residential Class A1. The applicant is requesting to modify the finishing material and exterior openings on the side street facade. I think that's Stratford. This planning commission looked at a modification on November 1st of 2021 to facilitate an emergency repair to the roof and exterior wall of the Palace Theater. And the applicant has now revised their scope of work to use brick as a finishing material to match the existing brick and wide an existing door facing Stafford. The proposal was reviewed by the Landmark Preservation Board. It does not necessitate any expanded waivers from the City of Syracuse zoning rules and regulations.
Okay, thank you. And the applicant is here. Do you want to elaborate a little bit, or is that?
She basically said, I think Katrina Skinner, 116 Hickok, co-owner of the Palace Theater, and yeah, we just wanted to find a way to maintain it as much as possible within its historical, so just a lot of research to figure out what we could do to make it stay as is and restore it to its beauty with the brick versus the block that we had before. So kind of excited to find a solution that's going to be a lot more beautiful than the other one, but still safe. So
Good.
any
Okay.
questions?
Any questions while the applicant is here? No. Straightforward. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Then with that presentation, is there a motion for action on this further special permit modification?
I move approval with a negative declaration.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So that modification is approved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Continued good luck with your project. And we have authorizations for our next meeting, and we have one hearing held over. Are there other items that need to have our attention this evening?
No.
Okay. With that in mind, it's just the 7 cases plus the carryover for tonight. Is there a motion to authorize those public hearings for March 14th? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Those hearings are approved. And it seems like our last item of business is adjournment. Who would like the honor of making that motion? So moved. All right, a first and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? We are adjourned until the 14th. Chris didn't know what she's missing, 34 minutes.